Welcome back to KDS Reviews, and I'm KDS. We review movies, books, and video games. This week we're going to talk about miniseries. Miniseries were these big series that would come out mostly in the 80s and early 90s. They'd be 2 or 3 weeks long sometime. But back then we only had, four networks: ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS. There was no Fox at that time. Let's start off with Lonesome Dove, starring Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Urich. It was a big Western right here that I didn't think it would be a big deal about. I just saw this one recently. This is a lot better than I thought it would be. Very good acting, very good story. It spawned many sequels, but none of them were as good as this one. That's Lonesome Dove. Up next, we got really the granddaddy of them all, the biggest one. You'd be surprised. Roots, starring John Amos and LeVar Burton. This thing was mammoth. I remember being a kid, and this was a big deal. Big deal. Half the country had a viewership of over 140 million people. That was half the nation in the 70s. It also spawned a lot of sequels, but the same thing. They were never as good as this one right here. And the last episode is the third highest rated program in television history, only behind the moon landing and the last episode of MASH. Up next, got another one of my favorite ones, North and South, starring the late Patrick Swayze, James Reed. This is a story about before the Civil War, during the Civil War, after the Civil War. There were two friends. One lived up north, the other one lived down south. They even met each other during the Civil War. This also tells a story about what happened to them after the Civil War. This spawned a book 3 also in here. But the original 2 parts, nothing can touch them. That's North and South. Moving on. Band of Brothers. That's Band of Brothers. This is about the Easy Company during World War II, all the exploits that they did. Surprisingly, this is on Blu-ray. I didn't even know they had this on Blu-ray. Let's look at some of the packaging here. There we go. Stretched out over a few discs right there. I actually picked this up at the pawn shop for $3.99, not $300.99, $3.99. Another huge one. One I'm currently watching now. The Winds of War, starring Robert Mitchum and Jan Michael Vincent. Still the story of the Henry family prior to World War II, right here. All their exploits that went on. This is another, this was actually based off a book by Herman Wouk. Winds of War. It got so much high ratings that they decided to film the unfilmable sequel. War and Remembrance. This is over 12 DVDs. Let's see, get the back right here. Starts off right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Goes all the way through the Holocaust. There's even an episode on here of just about the Nazis and how they saw World War II. That was the 6th disc. So big, I had to put it in the 2nd disc. Second 6th disc. Back of that right there. This was been probably about somewhere between $100 to $150. But I actually found it at Goodwill for only $1. Got some director's commentary about it, some behind the scenes. That's War and Remembrance. This is a very good one. Up next, we got Chernobyl. Story about the nuclear explosion that happened. You know, it tells all of behind the scenes that we didn't know, like how the explosion happened. The smoke went over half of Europe, and for 3 days, the Soviet Union never said anything. It was the cover-up that happened. And the man that exposed that cover-up, that's Chernobyl. We're going to start a new series. It's going to be KDS Movie Club. This is where I'm going to tell you some small movies that really a lot of people have not seen. Maybe you never even heard of it, but you're missing out on a true hidden gem. And our first movie in the KDS Movie Club is Passengers, starring Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. This is a story of a group of astronauts that are going on an 80-year mission, and they're put in hibernatic sleep. But something happens, and Chris Pratt's pod wakes him up. Now, you're on an 80-year mission. You can't return and go back. All you can do is go forward. Would you wake anyone else up? Or did you just live your life on that ship? That's Passengers. And once again, as you all see, these are all on physical media. Because if you have to get these off of Amazon or some of these other streaming channels, it's $3.99 an episode. You're going to pay $3.99 an episode? I picked all of those up probably for less than $20. This is KDS, and I will see you in the next video.